Oh my God, we should do it.
Halloween! Little feng shui. But what is wrong with me? So let's crack on.
Back on. Ready? Hello and welcome to Uphill From Here.
This is Catherine.
And this is Amy. And it's Halloween week.
I've just had an idea.
What?
How sick would this be? A big party, but everyone has to wear a hazmat suit. A silent disco, but like everyone's in full hazmat.
Technically corona safe. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, what's this week's word of the week, Catherine?
This week our word of the week is love.
Love. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Please, this time. Love, we have a guest this week, which we're really excited for. I just think it's going to be really interesting. I think we have very not opposing, but like differing views of love. I'm really like
Definitely
single, and you're really like happy and all loved up in your relationship. So it's going to be really fun.
Like these were the kind of conversations that we were having when we said, oh, let's start a podcast because this is stuff that affects everybody.
Yeah, so we hope you like this one, and let's get started.
So, Amy has said, Dear 2019 Amy, love is something you've always craved. Love is honesty. Love is equality. Love is mutual respect, happiness, laughter, comfort in a storm, where you feel most yourself. Home. Love is not something to be feared. It is special, perhaps the most precious gift you give to someone. But be careful who you give it away to, because one day you may feel like your love has run out. Love is powerful. It can fill you with joy, but when it's gone, it can shatter your heart and cut deep to your very core. It can blind you to so many hard-to-swallow truths. It can make you lose yourself. But you do not be afraid to love. I believe it is the closest thing to magic we have on this earth. Love your job, love your friends, your life. Find the small things and everyday kindness in people that make you feel loved and appreciated. Most importantly, love yourself. Remember to give yourself that same love, that patience, that forgiveness that you so freely give away to others. Remember that love isn't something you outsource. It is something you find within yourself first of all. 2020 Amy.
Because normally I don't really address my letters because I'm just not that creative. I don't really, but like last year, I like was kind of in and out of like love, and I feel like I was just like looking for that. I was like, I'm ready. Like, if you're like desperately searching for love and like desperately wanting that relationship and you go out hunting for it, sometimes you will just, the first person that comes along, you're like, oh, you'll do. Like, here's someone to love and pour myself into. I can kind of settle for this, and it's like never ever settle because you're never going to be happy in the long run.
I think that leads us on quite nicely. Nice sort of segue into my first question that I have. So you talk in your letter about how you crave love and you've always craved love. And then you kind of go on to say in the next paragraph that love is all these really comfortable things, like happiness and laughter and, you know, someone to be comfortable with and safe with and home and all those kinds of things. But I kind of thought about like the idea of a craving is usually something uncomfortable that you need like a quick fix from. Kind of like, oh, I'm really uncomfortable, I really want to eat this thing, or I really want to do this thing, and it's quite impulsive. So I wanted to ask, like, how do you know that craving's been satisfied when all the things that you want are just quite comfortable and kind of like, oh yeah, chill.
Yeah, I think like the whole thing when I said like love is something I always craves, like I'm like a people pleaser. I like to help others and give to others, and I've spent a lot of my life doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not being very like self-aware and giving a lot to myself. So like I think I've always like give a lot of love, and I've always kind of wanted that back in that kind of maybe like craving is not the right word, but like that's something I've always wanted, and like been very high up for me in like my priorities of like having a healthy relationship, having a family. But yeah, I think that love, like instinctively to me, that means family, that means like it's never something short. Like I like I'm very much this person of like want to spend my life with someone and fall in
Yeah.
love and have that story. Um, but yeah, I feel like both times that I was like fully like in love with someone completely, both very different situations, I just remember feeling so comfortable in myself and so like so happy. It's just
Yeah.
overwhelming. Like you just feel so I want to say complete, but I am so against this idea that your other half is your other half. Like
Hmm.
I got a tattoo for it. I got it covered up, but like I just don't like the idea that like in Spain they say that your soulmate's called your it's in Spanish it's idiomatic. It's like the other half of your orange. And I always hated the idea that I was half of something. I needed someone
Hmm.
else to come along and make me a whole thing. I'm like I'm a whole person on my own. And I want
Yeah.
that other person to be the same and have I don't want to be reliant on anyone.
Hmm. Something that I kind of got was when you were talking about love is powerful, love can make you feel this, that, and the other. Do you see love as an external force that you can't control? Because
um
you talk about it like it is this like force of nature that's not anything to do with within you. It's almost something that takes over.
I don't know. Sometimes like your brain could be telling you logically something. And I think
Mhm.
maybe it's not like a force of nature, but like kind of what we previously talked about it's like chemical, it's hormonal. Like your body feels this thing and the logical side of your brain is maybe telling you, slow down, this isn't good. The other half's like, what
I
red
don't
flag?
care.
I don't care. I love this person or I want to be like, do you know what I mean? So like I think it is internal, but it's not always something you can control. How cool that you can like feel this like force that comes from you.
Mm.
Kind of like what I imagine like when mothers talk about holding their child for the first time. And that
Yeah.
wave of the pain's gone and you just feel that unconditional love.
Mm.
That's not something I think you can control.
Yeah.
You just oof.
Again, nice little segue from kind of talking about like mother's love and all those kinds of things. Do you view romantic love and love for friends, family, self as a different thing? Are they two separate entities? Do they cross over? How
Um,
do they?
I think this is a really interesting question because I remember someone I was previously with, I asked them like it was that conversation like, what are we? I remember he saying like
What are we?
when you that's me like every 5 minutes I'll be married and like so are you still like interested like, I remember asking like what is this and he's like well I feel like you have like different types of love. You have love for like a partner, like you have love for a friend, and like there's like in these kind of like columns there's different like I don't know feelings they make you feel in different like things that you have them there for. And I like don't and he made a really good point and he was like I think someone that you're with
Mm.
doesn't have to fit into one column. Like people always say like you marry your best friend, like all of these things like friendship, romantic love. I think in a partner you want to have like all of them really.
Mm.
I think in terms of like the love you feel, I think that's it's different. Like romantic love is different to like how you feel about like your family, your parents, or your friends, or to your towards
Yeah.
yourself. But I think there can be the same feelings. You can feel comfortable and happy and accepted and fulfilled by all the types of love.
Mm.
Um, but I don't feel like people place as much importance on like loving their friends. This is what I've experienced before, and we've had this conversation. This is where I get it from. Like before the podcast, this is what we chat about. I remember like obviously going through a breakup and feeling like I'd lost. I was like, oh, no one loves me. And I remember you saying like you have so many people in your life that love you and care for you and won't walk away from you and won't just leave you like that and make you feel like crap. And I was like, oh yeah, like stop placing that one romantic love that you've lost as all of the love like in the world for you. Like think of all your friends and family that love you. Okay, so Catherine's written. To anyone who is wondering what is love, we are told that love is a feeling, butterflies flapping in our stomachs, aches in our hearts, and all these physical feelings. We are told that love should last forever if it's real, it will never go away. We are told that love is missing someone with an aching heart whenever we have to spend more than 24 hours away from each other. We are told that love is easy because if it's real, we'll never fight with it or disagree with it or want time away from it. But have we ever thought that love is not a feeling? If we felt all these physical sensations every minute of every day, our bodies would not be able to function. If you're in love with someone for the rest of your life, feeling all these sensations, we would be so exhausted by the sensation we would not be able to spend time with a person that actually made us feel this way. Love changes. Romantic love does anyways, as we get older. I am aware I'm only 22, but the man I love now in comparison to those I've loved before is very different because we learn from love. Have you, who is wondering what is love, ever thought that love is a choice? You choose to love every day. You decide every day to show affection and to care because you choose every day to love that person. You may find another person in the street physically attractive and catch yourself in panic, but you haven't chosen to love them. You continue to choose the person you're already with. Think about it. I would also like to ask you that if butterflies and heartaches and wanting to spend every moment together equals love, then is the love we feel for our friends and our family and the special people in our lives not real love? I don't remember getting butterflies the last time I went out to meet my best friends, but I know that I love them. I don't want to spend every single waking moment with my family, but I know that I love them. Let's stop basing love on feelings because it's so much more than that. Love, Cat. Ooh. That's so interesting because like I've literally just finished saying about how love is like something we like feel like so strongly, and you've just gone and just shat on that and said and said love isn't a feeling at all, it's a choice. When you say about like loving someone forever, and that's always kind of like what's expected when you fall in love and you find the love of your life, you'll always be in love. Do you think it's possible to fall out of love once you're in love?
Yeah, I do. And I think falling out of love is definitely a thing. But I think a lot of people, not all, have stopped working on it and actually remembering that loving someone is hard. It's difficult. Like I learned this from my gran that was like, you hate them. She was like, you hate them. There's some days you come downstairs and you absolutely hate them. You want to throw them out the door and never see them ever again. And she was like, you have to just keep going. She was like, because tomorrow that might have gone and you might love them again. And it's like, and when things get hard, you got to work at it. Like my gran got married and ran away from home because she didn't want to be married anymore. And her mum said to her, well, you've done it now, so you've got to go back and work for it. And she was married then for the next, well, until my granddad passed away. And then she never married again because she loved him so much. Yeah, because like, she worked so hard to keep him.
You see those like older relationships and they've been married for like 60, 70 years. They've been together since they were teenagers and they've stayed together. And now with younger generations, like you say, people just give up so easily and they just give up on relationships. They split up, they get divorced and like.
And I think it's because we're made to believe that by all this kind of like we spoke about last week, the whole awareness thing, we're so aware of all these things that are wrong that we've got no inclination to actually make them better or attempt to make them better. And people pick all these red flags up but aren't prepared to then try and see if they can resolve them before just going, no, that's it, you're an awful person. No, it's not this open conversation. And I've heard people talk about it where they're like, oh my God, I can't talk to him about that, he might leave me. And I'm like, well, if he's going to leave you for talking to him about that, then you're with the wrong person.
Yeah. Like you say, like it's not always easy. And there are days like I've heard people say before, like, I really don't like you right now, but I still love you. Like, I love you, but I don't like you. And I think
I've had people say it to me. I've had friends say it to me where they're like, I don't like you at the moment. I love you. Piss off for a bit. And I'm like, okay, fine. Like, yeah, Sam.
Yeah,
and it happens.
Longer, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so this is really interesting. Like, the whole point of your letter is that love is a choice. And I get what you mean about, like, choosing to love someone every day, even when it's hard. I get that. But, like, is love a choice? Do we always choose who we fall in love with?
I don't think we choose who we fall in love with, but I think we choose to continue loving that person. It's very easy to fall in love. We've spoken about that. Infatuation's great. It feels amazing. You know, you do it and you're like, oh my God, this is incredible. But then the day that kind of starts to fizzle out because life happens and you realise that you're quite comfy with that person and that person doesn't give you butterflies anymore because you're not nervous to say anything around them, you make that choice then every day to continue to love them. I think this is the thing. Love and infatuation and sexual attraction are very different things, although they can come into one person.
I need to learn. I'm taking notes here, Catherine. Tell me.
And when we first start to be attracted to somebody, we have infatuation. There's that desire to be around them. We have that desire to want to see them, to talk to them. We have that desire to want to be noticed by them. That's all really exciting because it's all really unknown. But that's all still infatuation. It's all still kind of that lust, that like, oh, I want you to be attracted to me and I want you to, you know, love me and care for me and all these kind of things. And then when that happens, it's like, oh, I've chosen to love you. Oh, like, you know, it's not just, oh, I really like having sex with you. It's like I've chosen to get up and do something for you that I know will make you smile. And I've chosen to put my arms around you when you're asleep and cuddle you because it makes me feel close to you. And, you know, all these like conscious choices. And it starts out as all these kind of really exciting feelings and then turns into this kind of connection that is a lot deeper than just butterflies and sex.
When you say, okay, so you talked about the idea of like loving someone forever. Do you agree with the idea that there is one person for everyone, like the idea of a soulmate? What are your views? No? No?
No. There's a lot of people in this world that you could be attracted to and in a relationship with that you're, you know, alike. We've been in relationships before. They didn't work, but it didn't necessarily mean that that person wasn't right for you at the time. If it's not working because it doesn't serve you anymore or it doesn't give you everything you wanted anymore, you kind of move away from it. In terms of like larger scale things, not like, oh, they don't put their pants in the wash basket, like, you know, big things. So now I don't think there is just one person for everyone. Because otherwise, if there was, then why would people have affairs?
Because they're dicks.
And I think this whole culture of finding the one is quite damaging because it makes you seek out things. It makes you never happy with the person that you're with because you're always seeking the things that they are not. Rather than accepting them for all the things that you like about them, you start to look for their flaws and then go, I want someone who doesn't do that. Okay, drop you, find somebody else.
Yeah. Now I'm at this stage of my life starting questioning, is that true? Because like I say, putting all your eggs in one basket, putting all of your hopes, dreams, everything into one person's like a lot of pressure. After a while, the idea that you do have one person and I still have that, I'm like, but what I thought that person was and they weren't. So how do I ever know if the right person's the right person? It scares me a bit. Like, it's a lot to take in.
Nobody's perfect, and I think that's my biggest thing is nobody is perfect. So therefore stop trying to look for your perfect person because there's always going to be something wrong with them. You've got to love people for their flaws, not just the things that you like about them.
True. Okay, so I think now is a good time to move on to our lovely guest. This week our guest is my lovely friend Holly, and she has come to talk to us about what love means to her.
Dear Kat and Amy, I wanted to talk to you today about how I feel about love and what love means to me and my experiences with being in love and love when it comes to relationships, breakups and that kind of thing. So about 5 years ago, I came out of a pretty toxic relationship. So unfortunately, I experienced the kind of relationship where I wasn't treated correctly, I was cheated on, that kind of thing. Just a crap, negative, toxic relationship. And I feel like now it's so clear to see why it was so bad and what was so wrong with it. But when you're in that relationship and you think you're in love, it seems normal and it seems fine. Because you're so sort of narrow-minded and you think that you're in love, you think that everything that this person is doing is right. because they've told you that they love you and you're in love. And it's so easy for me now to think, God, why did I stay so long? Why was I in that relationship? But when you're in it, you just sort of don't realise how bad it is for you. And I feel like a lot of people, when they hear about that their friends or anyone has been in a bad relationship, you get the whole, oh, so why didn't you leave him? Why didn't you tell anyone? If it was so bad, you could have just left. But because this person makes you feel that if you lost them, your whole world would collapse, that they're your sort of lifeline, and you sort of manipulated to feel like they're everything. So if you left, you'd be a shell of a person. And it took me 3 years to realise that. I mean, I did get told that I was being cheated on, and it was sort of the final straw where I realised this isn't good for me. I don't feel happy anymore. I need to leave this relationship. And I did, but it wasn't everything I expected. When you leave this person, you think that it's all just going to go away and that everything's going to be fine. Because even though you have left such a negative environment, and it should be good that you're no longer with such a toxic person and in such a toxic environment, you have still lost someone. You still have lost someone that you thought you loved and loved you back. So it's going to have a massive effect on you. And for a while, I had no self-confidence. I didn't want to be in love. I didn't want to go near anyone. I just sort of wanted to close myself off. And it took me a really long time to realise that it wasn't me who was the bad person in this, it was them. But because they make you feel like you're the bad person and that they're the victim, it does take a really long time to realise that they were the problem, not you. So I had trust issues. I didn't feel like I could trust anyone again. The boyfriend that I have now, James, when I came out of my negative sort of toxic relationship, we did speak for a while, and I did like him, but I knew inside of me I wasn't mentally stable enough to handle a relationship again, and I didn't want to give myself to someone knowing that I still had really bad trust issues, would just have this massive fear about relationships. So I sort of called it quits. And I think that's a massive part about moving on. If you know when you're ready, and no one should try and make you feel sort of like rushed into a relationship again if you're not ready, because only you know when it's time. And you might think that you're fine, and then you'll speak to someone and be like, oh God, no, I need more time, and that's completely okay. So when you do come out of the relationship, you do feel quite vulnerable, and the best thing to do is sort of surround yourself with friends and family and try and go out and have fun and do the things that you couldn't do whilst you were in the relationship, and just surround yourself with sort of positivity. Because in your mind, especially with me, I just kept thinking, well, if I would have done this, maybe they wouldn't have cheated on me, or if I would have changed this, maybe they wouldn't have done that, or anything like that. And it took me a while to realise that I wasn't the problem, it was him. So I do think when it comes to moving on, time is the best thing. Time heals all, as cliche as it sounds, because at the end of the day, you need to build yourself back up. You need to build your trust issues back up, your self-confidence back up. So when you move on, only you will know when it's time to sort of get with someone again. And it doesn't matter if that's a month or 2 years, it's completely up to you, because you're the only person who knows when it's time. And you are really nervous, I think you should just be really selfish and take a chance, because you don't know, that person could be the one, as cliche as that sounds. So yeah, me and James have been together for 3 years now, and when I look back on our relationship, I can see how massively different it was to past relationships. So sort of as cliche as it is, when people say, when you know, I do massively think that's true. And it's so hard to explain. And I get why people say when you know, because definitely my experience now, love should be so easy. It shouldn't have to be something that you work at. This person shouldn't make you feel like crap. This person shouldn't make you feel belittled or small or upset, because someone who loves you will not make you feel like that. And I feel like, as horrible as that relationship that I had before was, it has really taught me to appreciate true love and what love should really be like. So yeah, love can be amazing, and it is amazing, and I feel very fortunate to be in the relationship that I'm in now. It's super happy, super healthy, and I just so wish that I could go back and tell 18-year-old me, like, it's fine, you've left that person. It feels like the end of the world now, but you are going to find someone who will treat you right, will make you feel amazing, and you are going to be happy. So, yeah, to sort of summarise, to me, love can be amazing and happy and make you feel on top of the world, but it can also be really hurtful. It was a really bad experience, but it has really taught me a lot of life lessons and sort of shapes the person I am today. So I feel like I shouldn't look back on it as such a negative thing and just look back on it as, I am a strong person for getting out of that. I'm a strong person for going through that, and I'm a much healthier, happy person now.
I want to say, like, Holly was obviously super nervous. She's not done anything like this before. Obviously it was something that's very sensitive, a sensitive topic for her. So it was really tough for her.
Yeah, very personal.
Yeah, very personal. So we really appreciate her opening up and sharing her story. For maybe others that might be able to relate. So thank you so much, Holly, for telling us your story and your thoughts on love. Yeah, but it's really tough for her to talk about, and I'm really proud of her for being able to speak about it, because sometimes that's the hardest thing we've found, is sometimes talking about those difficult things and having difficult conversations, but they're so important to normalize having those, for sure.
We will put a few kind of like help website links in the down below section, just for anyone who feels like they might need help getting out of a situation that they're in, that they're not comfortable with anymore, and they don't feel like they can do it by themselves. We will provide you with some resources to be able to read through too.
I think, like, what kind of Holly said is she massively said she doesn't want to look back on a negative. She's learned from love. Like, we both kind of have said, like, love can be powerful and hurtful, and change you as a person, but you can learn from it. And I think the positive she took from it was, when she ended things, was finding love through spending time with friends and people around her, and positive people. And it's so true. Anyone going through a breakup right now that's like, oh, no one loves me, I'm never going to be happy again. Holly's story is just a reminder that she was surrounded by what real love is, and real respect, real care. And that just reminded her of her worth. And she found that in time again.
And I love that she linked that love that she'd found in that support network to then being able to reach a point where she knew what love was romantically again. She found that, and she discovered that, you know, the people that love me don't make me feel bad. Therefore, I know what I'm looking for in a romantic relationship now. I don't want anybody that makes me feel bad about myself. And like she says, you know, she's found the person that she wants to spend the rest of her life with, that makes her feel good. And that's all we can ever hope for.
Yeah, exactly. I think love, someone that loves you will never make you question your worth and your value. You should know that yourself, and they should just remind you of it.
Being able to exist alongside each other as two complete people.
Yes. Two oranges. Or an orange and a pear. I don't know, whatever fruit you want to use there. Oh, God. Well, I think we should maybe wrap this up before we talk any more crap.
Before we start rambling off about fruit.
Thank you again. Thank you so much, Holly, for sharing your story. If you would like to share your views, your stories, your experiences, your thoughts with us on any particular topic, please do get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. Catherine, how can we do that?
Please get in touch via the Instagram. We are at Uphill From Here Podcast, or on the Facebook. We're also at Uphill From Here Podcast. We're a little bit more active on there, so we're sharing a little bit more. So get involved and check it out. And if you want to send us an email, we're uphillfromherepodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah. Thank you very much for watching and for your continued
Thanks,
support.
everyone.
Thank you, and we will see you very soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Please don't put any of that in, because that is just my underwear. You're like a little hamster.
Thank you, Lord, for giving us food. Thank you, Lord, for giving us food. That's what I just said. Yeah.
We hope you still give a shit.
This year's been shit.
It has been shit. It's
Life
been really
is
shit.
It's all shit.
I love at the beginning of this, we were like, let's stay positive. We're going to do this project. And we're just going to bring a little bit of life into your life. It's shit. Everything's shite. I hate it.
It's just absolute wank, isn't it? Like,